Hey everybody, it's Rebel Builder. I'm back with another episode of building my minifigure scale AT-M6. Now I know it's been a while. I actually had to go back and rewatch my last video, which I realized was in April of 2019, so it's been almost 2 years. Not long after I posted that video, my family decided to refinish our basement, and that's where my Lego studio is. So I was on a roll with the build, and then I had to pack up all of my Legos, move them out of the basement, and they sat in the garage for months. So that's the big reason for the delay. Now, of course, 2020 and coronavirus hit, and I did work on this build all through 2020, and I made a lot of progress. Actually, I've made more progress than you're gonna see today. And if you wanna kind of hear some hints about that, stick around to the end of the video and I'll tease those a little bit. But my point is I'm committed to finishing this thing and I'm on a good roll, and I'm gonna get some of these videos out here and, you know, hopefully we finish this thing soon. I mean, for me, this build, the idea for it started 3.5 years ago. That's how long this thing has been in my head. But enough about all of that. Let's put this thing on the table, let's zoom in, and I'm gonna show you what progress I've done, some of the techniques I've used, and where I'm going from here. The last time we looked at this, basically I had this side panel done, and my idea was that it was gonna be a flat panel that would use some Technics pins to snap into a frame. And what I had before was just some first ideas at some scaffolding or something that would make up the internal body. And as I advanced this further, trying to make it stand up, it kept falling all the time. So I had to just fully integrate the build. You know, some of these cross beams you see coming through here actually go all the way through and connect. So this is all integral. Any idea I had of this just coming off so I could access the inside, that just kind of went out the window because it just was not strong enough. So you can see I have the hinges here, so this whole panel leans in like that. And here I have this cool shoulder platform, and I think it's interesting that that only happens on the right side of the body. It does not happen on the other side. One other thing I've been kind of looking at and kind of judging is I add bits of light bluish gray here and here, and I'm just trying to break it up because there's so much dark gray in this thing, just trying to break up some of the monotony. One thing to note here is I've got this section of 2x4 bricks, and for now that's just kind of like a little stand that's holding this thing up. But you can see I've got some cool detail here. I like what I did here, that these are some door rails, and then you got some bricks on the side here, and I built it so that it made this unique looking kind of section in here. I like how that turned out. The details here were tricky to work out, these little indentations on the side of this thing, and I guess this is supposed to be like a heat sink for the gun. You know, the whole point of this walker is it's a gun, it's a walking tank, all built to fire the gun up here. Here, this is a vent kind of sticking outside, I assume to vent the heat as well from the big cannon, and working out the geometry of these things with the hinges and stuff, you know, that definitely made for some tricky techniques. One thing I wanted to do was build some interior in here. You know, there's a lot of space inside, and I kind of had to balance making the build strong enough to hold itself together, but also adding some room. Now, I used a technique here, and I got to give a shout out to Edge of Bricks. You know, he built another AT-M6. His is a smaller scale than mine, but he built these panels in the side of his, which I just thought was a neat technique. And so I just wanted to incorporate that. What this is these are just some lift arms here and some Technic pins, and you can see the inside there. And I ended up doing this on both sides, so you can kind of see a little light showing through here. Now this deck is actually the gun control room. So there's just 2 gunners or pilots up here, and these are the AT-M6 drivers. And they're running these computers. Now I had my daughter kind of help me out with these little computers in here, and this stuff I'm still working on, the interior details, but I just wanted to make sure as I was structurally adding parts to this that I left room in there to have some interior detail. Now down here I have another section, same kind of door design, you know, with these lift arms. In this level, I haven't added much in here yet. Basically, it's just a flat area. And what this would be is the area for the passengers. So there is supposed to be room for 12, you know, first order stormtroopers or snow troopers to sit in there. And I'm gonna design some cool chairs so that they can sit in there. And you can see in here, I've got a minifigure kind of hanging out on the ladder. Again, I think my daughter was kind of positioning some minifigures here, but there's a ladder and there's actually a little place for these guys to crawl up the ladder and get from one section down here. The other thing I'm doing is I'm adding these bits of red. Again, just trying to break up the gray and add some detail to kind of make it pop. But this also kind of, you know, is more of like a caution or a warning section. You know, if somebody's coming out of here, you know, kind of just the red signaling caution. So I like the way it looks. I also like the combination of the dark gray and the red. It's just a cool color combination. Now here's the back, and you can kind of see that this is just a big Technic mess. I am using every Technic brick, every lift arm, every Technic pin I can to kind of work this together and make it as strong as possible. But also I'm trying to keep the weight down. I don't want this thing overly heavy because, you know, it's got to rest on the legs, and we'll talk about that in future videos. But you can see all of this is trying to connect it so it doesn't like fall apart this way. You know, the idea is you could pick it up here and all of this is connected and everything is going to be strong down to this level. Now this section back here, this is pretty weak. I haven't worked out the details on this, and you can see I'm still missing a whole section back here. But that is actually going to be really quick to build because I've got the design. You know, designing these things versus actually just building is what takes so much time. So I got to this point and I didn't want to build myself into a corner. So I have to work on like the back hips, you know, that would be in this section here, and those are going to connect to the back legs. So that's kind of structurally one of the next major things I have to work on. And then I'm not sure how much detail will be inside here. I really think that this section will be closed off. Maybe part of this is actually the platform in here with the, you know, the 12 seats for the troopers. Time will tell on that one. But once I get this section done and I'm confident about the hips, you know, the back shoulders or whatever you want to call them, and then it'll be just filling this thing in, designing those 4 fuel canisters for the gun, and this thing will come together really quickly. Now this is the other side, and you can see I do have the same door panels on this side. There's no platform on this side. But you can see I have the gun design too here. I'm kind of proud how this looks. I really kind of worked to get every kind of little detail in the back here. But again, kind of trying to get the shape of this thing because this is why this thing exists. It's for this cannon, and I wanted to get the details of this thing correct. Now this section down here was actually pretty tricky too, trying to get all of the details right. Now, doing these sections, these little greebly sections, to me that's one of the most fun things you can build. Just trying to look through your parts, come up with all these little different kind of pieces and see what you can just throw in there to add some detail. Now I had to rework this a couple of times because initially I was too low. Now what this actually is the neck is going to come out underneath here, and so the head will be sticking up here a little bit, but the neck actually is under here. So I had to make sure, you know, that I wasn't sticking too far down because then that messes the whole geometry of the head up. One other detail I'm kind of happy how it came together was, you know, these top sections are all on hinge bricks, and so they actually do move, but I wanted it to look seamless with the top section here. Now I've got some of these cool 6x6 tiles here, and then I use these angled tiles on both sides to kind of look like the whole thing really does just fit together, and it just kind of added some cool geometry, and I'm pretty pleased with how that looks. Okay, now going forward, as far as the body goes, there's this whole section underneath that's supposed to be like the drivetrain or something, who knows. But there's going to be this big structural thing that comes through and goes all the way through and will come out underneath the neck. So that's kind of the next thing I need to do, but to do that, I had to stop and build the legs because I need to have these sections in here about how the legs actually fit on, and so it's kind of a thing where I had to just do it all at once, but I got to this point, had to stop and build the legs. Okay, now going forward, I mentioned earlier in the video that I actually have more done than what we see here. And what I've done is I've actually got all 4 legs done. I had to stop and build those so that I could build this connection here and up here, and then I can figure out how to build this section underneath. So in the next video, and it will be soon, I'm not going to go another year, and we'll look at the back leg, and then I'll do a video looking at the front leg design, and then we'll go from there. I'm hoping the section underneath doesn't take too long. And what I'm going to save for the last is the head, so you won't actually see the head until I kind of unveil the final mock all complete. So that's going to do it for today. Thanks everybody for sticking with me. I know it's kind of crazy that this has been almost 2 years, but I am committed to finishing this, and I have been working on this a lot through 2020 and COVID, and it's actually been a lot of fun. You know, I kind of get a section done, and it just gets me excited and keeps me going forward. Really makes me admire the guys that are doing these huge city builds, you know, like Rich Boy Jay, where they can commit to something that big for that long. All right, that's going to finish up the video for today. That's all I got. Please leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. Click on that notification bell. You'll be notified next time I post a video. And thanks again, everybody. I'll be back soon.